2013 League of Legends All-Star Weekend. I am Lee D-Man-Smith, and beside me is, of course, it's Joshua Jack-Leesman, and we are ready for the final. It is now time for the tournament finals to begin. It is going to be Chinese LPL All-Stars, and they are facing off against the Korean LCL team.
And if yesterday was any indication, the Chinese fans are a little bit excited right now.
As are we. I think it's safe to say, because they were pretty loud. I was surprised, right, by the crowd, how much they were cheering on North America in that last round. They were not cheering Korea at all. They wanted North America in the finals.
And even from the first day, we saw kind of how intelligent the Chinese team was. When they see Rumble first picked in, they're just like, yeah, we got this one. And just from that, they're just like, we want to see North America, because they felt like North America was the weaker team between them and Korea.
And how do we feel that, you know, Rumble is not going to get through, surely? This is one. If there's one thing I think we're 100% certain of,
I hope not.
Rumble is not going to get through. Oh, both teams are amazing on Rumble. What is going on?
Yeah, well, Rumble, actually it was Jarvan who was slightly more picked during the season, but he has been changed around a little bit, whereas Rumble had just been nerfed in like the 3.7 patch on the live service, so he's still the supercharged Rumble.
Only for a week.
Here. For now, he's the supercharged Rumble.
Right, I mean, what are we thinking here? I mean, China-Korea, it's kind of the final everyone thought was going to happen, and it has happened, sure enough. You know, in a roundabout sort of way, these are the kind of teams, what we've seen from both of these teams has been phenomenal. You know, China were in dominant form against the Korean All-Stars, and Korea have just looked like a team that have been together for months.
And both of these guys have actually gotten to play two sets already. I'd have to say the Korean team has looked slightly more dominant than the Chinese team. The Chinese team had that one game against North America because that's a common enemy we can kind of compare them against, where NA was really coming back strong in that second game, and for the most part should have taken a game off of China.
Okay, something we want to maybe think about is we've seen a little bit of level 1 shenanigans from both of these teams. Do you think they're going to go aggressive? What do you think? Being that it is the grand final now, are they going to suddenly move into that passive mode? It's game 1, feeling each other out, not sure what way it's going to go.
So as far as level 1 goes in these matchups, the only kill I think we've seen at level 1 was Korea in that very last game against North America. And aside from that, what's happened all weekend is they will go in for their wards, but they will then just kind of back out. And a lot of times they will trade the red and blue buff, split it on the map instead of taking their own, if that makes sense.
Which is always strange. I've always wondered, it's like, we've gone for the invade, we've got the red, we need to run straight around back to our red, and then they just went, oh, well, they took our red.
Yeah, I kind of expect more of that of these teams, because they don't necessarily need the game to be decided at level 1. I don't think either of these teams is in an either underdog scenario or a scenario where they don't respect the other team enough at level 1 to try to do something. And I think they're just going to be playing the game like what got them here and just hoping they win based off of their earlier preparation.
And in terms of lane setups, we've seen Korea running pretty much 2 people in the mid lane, I think, for every game, or close to.
Close to.
But China haven't done that yet. Do you think they're going to have to adjust and maybe counter it? We saw America trying to counter it there. North America, I should say, although it is just America because there's no Canadians in that one this time around. But, I mean, what do we think? Yeah, bless Canada.
Sad.
We've still got Canadian here, guys, don't worry. And England is still in the final.
So, as far as that goes, we've always been, we were talking earlier about how the Korean team was one step ahead of North America, and how I feel like they are almost the best reactionary team in this tournament, whereas China is all about just going. Because all of China's games have been them judging a situation really well off the bat and then executing. It's not really them letting someone else act on them and tricking them into situations, whereas Korea's been doing a lot more of that.
Well, we saw North America, every time they seem to, like, okay, we're going to make a play, we're going to go for it. Korea always seemed to be that one step ahead. It's like, oh, they're about to make a play here. Let's get ready for it.
And this is probably a bit of a stretch, but because Najin Sword, like the Do Dive team back in Korea, was so dominant up until just recently in the OGN Champions Series, I think a lot of the players and teams themselves have gotten very good at reacting to all-out aggression, which is actually kind of how I feel IG and Team WE for Team China have been playing. So it'll be very interesting to see if Korea can set traps for the Chinese team.
We'll see whether those traps do get set. Let's have a look at the teams themselves. In the blue corner, of course, it is going to be the Korean LCL All-Stars. We just saw them qualifying, beating North America in the semifinals. In the top lane, it is Shy, that dominant beast of a top laner, and in the jungle, well, he's the 1v1 champion. It is Insect. The mid lane, it was Ambition. He went down to Toys in the 1v1, so it wasn't quite to be for him, but, well, he is CJ Enter's Frost's main man, so won't be surprised if he carries something out in this match. Prey is the AD carry from Najin's Sword, and of course, the man, the legend, it is Mad Life, or God Life, as he really should be known on support.
And on the red side, it's the Chinese LPL All-Stars, top lane PDD.
He is the David Beckham or Michael Jordan or whatever you'd like to call him these days.
It's what he's turned into, at least with this tournament. Troll in the jungle as well for them has been supporting him as well. Messiah was the top vote getter amongst all players.
And it shows.
And it shows in that AD carry, Wei Zhao, he actually had the best of a lot of AD carries throughout all time. Everyone looks up to this guy. He is the standard that AD carries have been measuring themselves against. And then on support, it's Zhao Zhao, who has complemented him so well in this tournament.
And we were discussing yesterday whether it was China they were chanting or whether it was Zhao Zhao, because everybody thinks he was actually the MVP because he was landing hook after hook against the Greener All-Stars.
Almost every fight was initiated in the second game when he was hooking actually a mistake. Support on support and just making the fights happen. So we do have a very intelligent audience here, and a lot of those people realize the impact of support plays.
And again, the room is lit up. It is ready to go. So it is, the teams are just about ready, and we're about to enter Champion Select. So let's see who you guys at home think is going to win the All-Star title. According to lolesports.com, we do actually have a tie, 50-50 split, and that is actually pretty much true, because asking everybody here, nobody can really give an outright answer. You know, we even asked in the interviews earlier, and they were like, oh, well, it's probably going to be China or Korea. It's like, well, sit on the fence, why don't you?
It's so fitting that it's 50-50. It's like, I think it'll be a 2-0 in either direction. It's like, what? That doesn't help. That's just saying 50-50. Or even a 2-1. We haven't had a best of 3 actually go all 3 games. Everything has been 2-0. Even though we've had a lot of really close games, the results have always been straight across.
Absolutely. So, I'm not going to put you on the spot. I'm not going to say who you think is going to win, because we need to try and be a little bit unbiased. Well, we could be biased, but that would be a little bit wrong in the commentating. But we are into the picks and bans, ladies and gentlemen. Hecarim does get banned out. And, you know, these bans, these teams actually do know each other a lot, because W and IG have made appearances in the Korean leagues. The Korean teams have also made appearances in the mixed leagues. There's a number of mixed leagues that have happened.
In the Stars Wars League, they played a lot against each other in that. Stars Wars, was it 2, where we actually saw, it was IG and W in the final. So in that league, they came out on top.
Well, we will see which way this one swings. Hecarim and Jarvan are the bans. Kind of standard, the heavy jungler bans as well. And surprise, surprise, Rumble is taken out of there. Kennen actually removed from Ambition.
And the luxury, actually, that the LPL team, the Chinese team has, is that they were thinking that they were most likely facing the Korean team. They will have spent the entire time scouting and only preparing for one opponent, whereas if Korea wanted to prepare for this, they would have had to essentially look past North America. And we're not sure if they did that, but because Kennen was so effective in the last few games, China's just been sitting back and watching.
Well, Kha'Zix has been banned out. We did see PDD going pretty wild on Kha'Zix against the Garena All-Stars, and Rise is taken away from Shy, but it does mean that the 100% ban in Korea has pretty much got through untouched, and it looks like Twisted Fate may well get selected.
That was actually a pretty big cheer, considering it's not Messiah playing Twisted Fate if they end up going for the
just love seeing him.
Twisted Fate in the game. Sometimes it's a rare occurrence. I know in the OGN Champions League, he was 100% pick ban. He was not 100% pick ban in the LPL. It was much down towards 70 or so, which tells me that China has something ready to counter it, because it's not 100% feared there.
Well, we do see them getting locked in. There is PDD on your screens. It looks like Zach is going to be the champion of choice, along with Caitlyn. We saw Wei Zhao and Caitlyn against the Green All-Stars, and it was pretty good.
And both of these guys, Prey and Wei Zhao, have played ridiculously strong Caitlyn's in some of these games. The lane control that it's going to offer in this matchup, specifically if they want to get control, that is China, to be able to dive in, is so important.
Well, look at that. It's going to be Mad Life on Thresh. That's what I like to see. Mad Life will be on Thresh. And of course, the other choice was Jace, which I'm guessing will be Shy in the top lane. It's pretty much where he's going to go. We have seen an AD carry Jace, but I don't think it's going to be the same one.
That's got to be a top lane. Yeah, he was so good at Jace near the end of the season, as they're still not even over with the season, but so good at Jace right now that they're banning it out in almost every game that he plays in. It's just since it's an all-star team, and since they hadn't been using it recently, China decided to go with other bans, but that Jace is going to be a really difficult opponent for whatever LPL decides to lane against it, whether it's a 2v1 or whether it's just a top lane matchup.
Well, Diana looks like it might get selected. Actually has been on the losing side in quite a few of these matches lately, but has really been a favorite choice here in China, as well as Korea, and I guess the North American and European scenes.
And specifically for China, it will really help them keep the enemy team together. They're going to try to combo in with Zach and Diana for these team fights to really just keep them. We saw that 3v5 5-man kill yesterday, and that was really in large part because Diana kept them there. So for the type of play that China likes to do, Diana really fits. It just, the low percentage was mainly because North America was playing it against what, the two teams in the finals.
And that's a champion I like to see. It is Lee Sin getting locked in. Insect's like, yep, having that one.
Didn't get to play it against North America. He was ridiculous on it. No, he did get...
He did. He played
against Europe.
Getting
my games mixed up. That is awesome.
It was. I mean, we saw the Q land. It was like zip, zip, zip. Like kick Pete, poor Pete, straight into the turret.
Killed
and like the
Diamondprox.
waiting 5-man spider jumping on him.
And he killed Downprox with it earlier.
Yes, of course.
So he's
1v1.
3-0 actually on Lee Sin if we count the 1v1 game.
That's a little harsh against Europe.
Let's talk about Lee Sin.
Well, technically Lee Sin, but it is all against Europe.
I mean, if you want to be harsh, you could say North America is the only team that didn't win a 1v1 or the tournament.
Oh, that's kind of true. Yeah, that's a little harsh, but we do see actually the AD carry getting locked in, and it is Tristana. That's the champion we've not seen in a while, but we see Nocturne locked in as the jungler for China.
And this is really awesome to me because when you pick a champion like Tristana, you're signaling, I want to be the late game hyper carries, especially when they're trying to combo with Jace, who also scales ridiculously well. Then when they pick Nocturne on top of that, Nocturne is a champion who peaks out really early and dives super hard. So I feel like China's going to be going all out aggression and trying to stop Korea from getting late game composition. I love games like this.
So what do we think? Early game pressure. Which way is it going to come from? Because clearly Korea, with the Tristana in there, they want to get a little bit later. But with Twisted Fate, they're going to be making moves in the lanes.
Yeah, so I think LPL is going to be attempting to put all the pressure on them. They are the ones that have the initiative too, but it's going to be on Insect to try to stop that. What Korea's done with this team comp is they have a bunch of late game champions with the early game power of Lee Sin to try to negate that. And then when they hit 6, they're going to try to get through the mid game with Twisted Fate. So they have 2 stopgaps to try to stop China from coming through, and it's going to be about whether they can hold.
And you've got that potential, of course, obviously with the paranoia in there. Just saw Diana had selected teleport as well, so Messiah's going to have the teleport available. So they could all potentially clump onto one spot at the same time.
And that's something they have to be very concerned about if it's the area of effect composition coming in from China. We see what happens when teams all clump up against them.
Absolutely. So, what, guys, we are excited. It is the grand finals here, the all-star grand finals in a pretty much a packed house, it has to be said.
Man.
No doubt about it. There is lights, neon lights everywhere, neon signs that get shown all across there. You can see it's got LOL. There's a number of WE and IG signs as well, certainly in the top right-hand corner, but we are about to get underway. Here it is. It is the Chinese LCL team, Korean LCL team on the blue team. LCL and LPL, guys, I'm going to get
It's not going to get confusing, don't worry.
Not at all, not at all. But it is the Korean LCL team, the League of Legends Champion League. Whew, that's a mouthful to say right there.
The League of Legends Pro League.
Pro League. It's the All-Stars, China versus Korea. You guys all know at home what it's going to be. And the red team looking like they may well go walking straight headlong into Shy here. Will he face check now? Bush.
Oh,
This could be a very dangerous move, Jack.
And we were wondering if there was going to be some level in action. Shy and Madlife trying to go!
They're going straight in for it. That's going to be the build up onto Madlife, but the acceleration gate had to be picked as the first skill for Shy. That may well actually hamper him when he goes into lane phase.
Only a little bit. I've seen so many Jaces start the game with the gate just for that level 1 positioning, and since he's ranged, he can quite easily play passively up until that level 2. But because China got the harass down on both Madlife and Shy, they're going to be able to take some positioning here in the blue buff.
We'll see whether China stick around or whether they're going to back off. They're actually backing off in the bush, but that's quite clever because they know there's the ward on there, and it's actually going to keep Korea guessing. They've all gone back.
And we talked about the Korean mind games that happened against North America just now. That was a great Chinese mind game right there because now Korea's got to be extremely careful about where they go. On top of wards.
We're looking at Insect, and he's thinking, looked like he was thinking of going towards blue, but they've actually hung around, and they're going to check it. Look at it, they're still pinging it. They're still unsure. They still don't know whether to go in.
Even though they're unsure, the only thing that's going to be a detriment to them is if they actually avoid the buff entirely, because China's not making any aggressive moves off here. The biggest benefit is actually going to be Never mind. There is something big happening because they're doing a delayed invade. They may have guessed wrong.
They've guessed wrong, and they're going to walk around the corner, and they've gone, oh, China are here. Hold on a minute, you guys are meant to be on our buff, and now it might well be a smite fight. Who's going to get it? It is going to be Insect. Can he get away? He gets the exhaust out, but he's backside. Will they go towards him, or will he be prey? He pops the barrier and the flash, and it looks like they've hit and run successfully. Ambition comes down, puts the slow card on Messiah, and all of Korea back away from that one. A great invade.
Really dangerous invade, a little bit touchy, but it definitely will pay off for them. The fact that Insect was able to take that away from Troll will mute their early game power right now. We knew Insect was the stopgap to try to let their lane survive, and that is a fantastic start, not only denying the mana, but the early game pressure from Troll experience-wise.
Wow, so what a start here. The blue buff, of course, is up in Insect's jungle, and he is heading straight for it. Not surprised there. That may well hinder Troll quite severely here. You can see he's trying to take down the red buff now. Had to go for the alternative. There's, of course, still got Smite available because he didn't win out that Smite fight. Didn't want to use it earlier on. Looks like he will pick up that red buff.
And this also confirms that Korea is getting 3 buffs to just the 1. A lot of times when we've seen the invade buff steals, they just trade, but because it wasn't a trade, it was actually a contest, it's a 1-for-0, not a 1-for-1 trade.
And it does, of course, mean that actually the lanes didn't gain any advantage from this one. Shy maybe did because he was up there early. You can see he's at level 2 before PDD in this top lane. And what do we think of this one? The Jace versus Zac.
Zac's gonna have to really survive, I feel like. Shy is such, I mean, Jace in general is such a potent laner, but Shy in particular, because Shy wins lanes with champions he shouldn't win lanes with. It's crazy what he does when he has a champion who should win lanes. So he already pushed up, plus he knows that Troll is set back early. The only thing he has to worry about, actually, is Messiah maybe teleporting in behind him, because I feel like Shy is gonna be pushed up as far as possible on Jack for a real long time.
Speaking of problems right down in that bottom lane, they both just hit level 3, and Prey was he's still at level 1. Both of them are level 3, he's still level 1, only just hit 2 now. And this is actually surely a factor because they went for that blue invade, but they didn't take those golems in the bottom lane.
And another one of the side effects of the blue invade was the fact that he lost his flash and his barrier in that little trade. So we thought it was a huge advantage for Insect, but I didn't have time to factor in all the summoner spell usages. I feel like Korea burned more getting away than China burned chasing.
Well, we'll see whether Insect can gain an advantage back for his team. He has just picked up that red buff, looking like he may well try and come visiting in this bottom lane.
Does have to back off, though. The board does get pinged out, and I think he sensed the play of Wei Zhao and Zhao Zhao just kind of staying a little bit back as he was coming through.
Well, he is a blind monk. You know, he's going to sense these things, as we've seen, of course, against Teemo. But as it stands, it is the mid lane. We just saw Messiah actually coming back, teleporting back in towards that mid lane, but it's going to be the bottom lane where they dive in on towards Wei Zhao. They do manage to get the kick. There's going to be the jump. Forces the flash from Wei Zhao. The hook comes out from Matlow. Doesn't quite find the hole, and they escape successfully.
That was extremely close to working and getting Wei Zhao down, but he waited just in the right moments to use both his flash and his 90 caliber net to get away. Really, the execution power of that gank was so high, and I do think it was still a good gank despite not getting a kill.
Xiao Zhao very low in that bottom lane. We did see, actually, looking in towards the jungle, you can see Troll. He's come around and he's counter-jungling. He realized that Insect was down that bottom lane. He's come straight around, taking the walls out there. Let's see whether he can gain any more advantages, because it is Korea pushing on this bottom turret.
And what he needs to do now, that is Troll, is he has to go into a lane and actually shove. Taking one jungle camp away does not negate this pressure that Korea has on the bottom lane.
It is going to be pressure. We do see it's going to be Wei Zhao returning to the lane. I'm not too sure he wants to get too close to this turret. No, he doesn't, because in Korea have taken it. They've got enough of a creep wave there to take the turret inside 6 minutes.
So a very quick turret there for Korea. That will give them a little bit of bolstering in the lanes when they decide to go back and get the shop trip on. It'll also give them a chance to maybe shut down Diana a little bit, who honestly Ambition won't be able to do. Now Ambition has even more freedom roaming the map since there is no turret protecting Wei Zhao farming. If China wants to actually shut down Wei Zhao a little bit, which is nearly impossible in most games on Caitlyn farm, because he's farming in that empty turret, Ambition might have a chance to.
Well, we do hear Ambition using the taunt there on Messiah. Wow, this seems like a bit of a grudge match in the mid lane. Using the Get Real kit, I think it was, on towards Messiah as he pulls out that stun card, gets level 6. And actually, we haven't really had a chance to talk about these mid laners, how they've been doing against each other. You can see 42 to 46 CS, very close between them. Both have just hit their ultimates, and actually both have gone for very similar builds.
And the Double Doran's ring is more common on Twisted Fate against Diana because he needs a little bit of resiliency just to make sure the jump on doesn't instantly kill him. The Double Doran's on Diana is a little bit more curious since he went to the Crystalline Flask as well. Usually you'll see Double Doran's at top lane, but Diana might go a little quicker for either just straight up magic resist or a whole bunch of ability power.
This top lane is PDD under a little bit of pressure there. You can see the Tear of the Goddess was picked up early on by Shy, so he's going to start stacking that out. You can see he's clearly winning the CS battle, as you would expect. Jason's going to be able to clear those waves out very quickly. PDD really had to go with simple defensive, but there's going to be 2 members coming up there. We do see Insect and Shy, but it's quite clearly visible.
And actually, Mad Life forces the flash in mid lane, but I want to get back to this top lane matchup because Shy has spent this entire game pushed to PDD's turret, and it's really showing in the way that PDD hasn't been able to roam around. 20 minion kills already, and just now Troll is starting to come up top, but because of the way Insects outstole the blue buff at the start of the game here, Troll still isn't level 6, so Shy, for a little while longer, can still feel safe keeping this far up.
Now I want to look at what's developing in this bottom lane. There's a big CS advantage starting to build here. 38 CS for Prey, and 54 for Wei Zhao. Here's Ransom going in. It's going to be Twisting Fate. It's going to be Wei Zhao's the target. There's no turret to fall back on. That's going to be the flash kill. He jumps on towards Zhao. Zhao gets the slowdown and the stun card. That will be 2 kills. It will be Korea that takes it. Ambition picks up the second.
And that was exactly the moment where Ambition wanted to go down. That has been set up for a while. Since they'd taken the turret earlier, we knew that Wei Zhao was going to be a little bit unsafe in that lane, but he was continually pushing up because he was trying to punish Prey's early game on Tristana. That's why Korea punished. That is the reactionary play that we lauded Korea so much more. They might get a dragon as well.
May well take a big advantage here. That's going to stretch their gold lead to around about 3,000 gold. Just coming up to 8.5 minutes in this game. That is a sizable portion of gold already this early on.
Really, really huge lead. 3,000, 8 minutes in, considering how dominant China looked in some of their games. But Korea, as we said, has been the most dominant team throughout this one. They've really punched China in the face really early on here, and China really will have to, I'm saying really a lot, have to come back here.
Well, it really, really is a problem for them because if there's any way in any sport to silence the home crowd, it's to put their team on the back foot very early on, and that is exactly what you're doing right now. The Koreans are in a dominant position. Can they continue to hold it, though? We've seen teams certainly going up against China before. North America comes straight to mind in game 2, but it's actually Paranoid that's problem. They're diving towards Shy in the top lane. This could be the first kill for China. Shy does flash away from this one. Will he be able to escape Troll? Surely we'll be able to land that Q in just a moment. He's going to be dead, you feel. There it is. That's going to be Troll picking up the first kill for China.
And Troll's really going to have to make that kill count because that was the first time he's impacted the game in 9.5 minutes. Shy had been punishing PDD this entire time, and that was the very first time that he got punished for that. Troll will have to wait a while on his next ultimate cooldown, but if he doesn't make that kill count, it might not be worthwhile.
So I feel that PDD is saving up, maybe wants to get that Giant's Belt in there, but meanwhile you see Shy, he's going aggressive already. He's got that Brutalizer. The Tear of the Goddess has been stacking for a good few minutes already, and that longsword to go with it. He is going to be a problem right now.
And it's because of the extremely strong laning phase of Jace, plus the shutdown that happened on Troll early on in the game. So Shy, not sure if he's just going to continue to lane against PDD and try to press that advantage, or whether he's going to press mid a little bit to allow Ambition to roam around.
Well, let's take a look at the AD carries. Look at Prey. He is rushing that Infinity Edge. He's already got the BF sword and the pickaxe comparison to just Berserker Greaves and double longsword. In terms of damage, that is a huge difference.
And it's a really good thing that his team has been getting him kills, that China has a turret and that China has a dragon, because 48 mini kills on Tristana, 10.5 minutes into the game, is abysmally low. Wei Zhao and Zhao Zhao have been doing such a great job shutting down his CS in that lane, but he's been getting it back in other ways, so that's why the damage is actually that high.
We'll see whether that is able to sustain as this game goes on. Insect picks up the red buff, and we do also see Troll going around, looking at maybe trying to set something up. We've got the AD carry and supports of Mad Life and Wei, not Mad Life and Wei Zhao, dream team right there. Zhao Zhao and Wei Zhao, which is another dream team. Certainly China's dream team have moved into this mid lane. They're now up against Ambition.
And this may be trying to stop Ambition's roam here, but it was just the one Twisted Fate gank on Wei Zhao. Maybe they're trying to make sure Wei Zhao can't get ganked by TF by just staying next to him and not having to worry about it. Have to wait to see how that one plays out.
It does, of course, give free roam for the bottom lane. Prey is going to get some of that free farm. Nobody anywhere near him right now, so he can just keep on shoving. He's got good ward coverage. We do see 3 members of the Korean All-Stars moving in towards his mid lane. Mad Life joining Ambition, and that is going to be Insect just bouncing around, safeguarding around those wards.
And something that's quite underrated about the Lee Sin jungle when you go Sightstone is the immense amount of just random ward coverage you're able to create. Since he can use it for combat effectiveness, the Sightstone, the Lee Sin really just has the gank power as well as the map control, which may allow Shy to continue to push up since they have double the sight zone of a normal team.
Look at PDD's build. He did go for that giant spell, but he also went for a second cloth armor. So he's stacking up really in a mixed match of what to build, whereas Shy, he has full control of that lane, it seems. But the CS difference is not that great because Zach is quite happy just literally absorbing it on the tower.
But the big difference is Shy hasn't had to build any reactive items. If Twisted Fate goes up and ganks PDD, he will be completely vulnerable to that magic damage. That's the reason. Even though he's absorbing it, it's the build that's going to cost him later.
Paranoia comes out, but Insect is right there. This China going to dive on them. They won't be able to get the damage down in the meantime, but here comes Ambitious to join the party. He's going to come in, gets the stun card on PDD. Shy gets away with absolutely nothing, and that is going to be the passive proc. But Prey and Messiah going at it as well. It's going to be Messiah that picks up the kill for China, but it's Korea that comes out on top with the double kill in the top lane.
Big time reactionary play right there. You have to say they sniffed out the troll gank from Nocturne, and Twisted Fate ran into position to stop it. They drew out the fight long enough that he was able to get out there. And then in the bottom lane, Prey actually thought all the action was happening up top. He forgot that Messiah may actually be roaming down to hunt him, ends up getting a kill from himself as well.
So Messiah may well put some pressure on this turret. They've got a double wave with him. They may be able to take this one down. Madlife and Ambition back in this mid lane, of course. Wei Zhao and Zhao Zhao keeping that pressure going. There is a CS advantage still building between the AD carries. It is around about 33 minions right now, and it's Prey that's definitely falling behind. That's going to be Messiah taking the turret down on the bottom. Will Madlife come in time? No, he won't. And now Madlife may be in trouble. Gets the flight just at the right time for Messiah.
He really
throws out. He does look like it is. That's going to be Prey taking the dark passage. Will he be able to jump on towards Messiah's head? The rocket jump is available, and he does go for it. And now you can see it's actually China that are getting ready for this one. We have Troll coming down. He doesn't have his ultimate available. That's going to be a kill, and it's Messiah that goes down. But now Prey will maybe target. Shy's going to come down. It's a 3v2 for Korea here. They're turning it around. Wei Zhao getting massacred there. Absolutely knocked him back. Flashes away from Madlife's hook.
That was amazing judgment there by the Korean team to know to go in, because it seemed like a very foolish endeavor trying to chase down a Diana that far away, since he had just killed Prey previously, and you think there'd be a bit of fear still in him, especially considering the length of the chase. The fear of a collapse coming in from China is really high, but they judged it right, got out with the kill, and now they're up 5-2.
Well, they just judged it because, I mean, even looking across the board, they all had the boots. That anyone that was likely to get remotely close to that point, the boots were there. But it is Korea that are continuing to shove on the mid lane now. They may well be able to take the turret. They did get the blue buff a moment ago. It's Madlife that lands a hook, but PDD comes in. He gets less bounce going. Madlife does get the shield out. He will go down. Troll flashes away from this one. Now can they turn it on towards Insect? We do see in the top lane where is Ambition going. He's just going to back off, as are the rest of the Korean team. It's now 5-3 in kills.
PDD really trying to make an impact now. He's out of the laning phase against Shy because his turret has fallen, and we may see more plays like that. Let's Bounce is not on an extremely long cooldown. He can fly all over the place with that elastic shot.
So we'll see how China do react. They've clumped together into a 4-man team right now. We do see Troll off the distance. He has got Paranoia available as well. And of course, it looks like China will split out. They need to start trying to put some pressure on the turrets. We see Korea. They already have 2 turrets. That middle turret is very, very low as well. So that's almost certainly going to be the place where Korea starts to put the next pressure.
And this could be a bit of a breaking point for the LPL squad if they can't turn something around quickly, because we know with the Tristana pick and the Jade pick, once that Muramana transforms and once Tristana gets 2 or 3 items under her belt, the game is going to get much, much darker for China. But they're losing this hit. They're losing it now.
They're losing it now because Messiah just got absolutely destroyed. Shy and Insect, they seem to be roaming and working very well together. Very mobile champions, and Dragon now is the target for Korea.
And they are going to try to burst this down as quickly as possible. They cleared the pink board to block the Messiah teleport if they were to come in about 18 seconds when he reses up. A great Dragon after kill, but they're trying to turn on Ambition.
They pull the Paranoia down, but the stun card came straight out, and he's Troll that may well get taken down. Yes, he is. They're going to do the dark passage. They pull Ambition away, and he walks away with a kill. It might not be the last, though, because PDD is the next target. Wei Zhao also gets focused. There's a exhaust down on Shy there, but PDD, it's Insect is jumping towards him, doesn't quite land the Q. PDD deflected. They're on to Shy. They get Shy. It's a Messiah that comes in there this time around, and now Prey may be the next target. Oh, PDD, you stuck around. Insect has found you. Has the power available. The passage is up, and now let's bounce on Insect. He tries to get away, takes the down passage once again from Madlife, and walks away. Wow, what a game.
Are you kidding me? I think that was a 1-for-1. They were fighting for about 45 seconds. such execution, but after that, look at the gold lead, D-Man. It's almost 6,000 right now, so Korea, despite the hectic of this game, must realize they're getting quite a big lead here.
You see Ambition, oh, he backed away just in the right time then. I thought maybe Wei Zhao and Troll might find him, but wow, what a game. Definitely going for it now. And like you mentioned, I think China realized the situation they're in. Like, we have to create something. We can't afford to let this middle turret go. Madlife hooking on the minions. It looks like he's going to say, well, I'll take a few just before Shy gets here.
May as well, they're going to be going to nothing. And I got to point out the 173 farm that Ambition has on Twisted Fate over Messiah. That is a monstrous advantage. I think some of that had to do with the AD carrying support coming mid lane and actually relegating Messiah a bit to a side lane later on in the game, and that's one of his ambitions, getting up there. But that first pick, Twisted Fate, is actually paying off right now.
Paranoia is not available, but Messiah doesn't care. He goes in on towards Insec, and well, takes a chunk of damage from Ambition for the pleasure. That turret, though, in that mid lane is incredibly low now, and it's Insec actually coming around, putting that ward down in preparation for that tower to fall. They know the blue buff is actually going to be up soon.
And the turret's so close to falling that LPL cannot be safe in here.
There's going to be Insec, there's the turret, Troll's in trouble, he gets caught out, but Insec may well go down in the process. Yes, it is, it's a 1-for-1, but the turret goes to Korea, and Wei Zhao was the one that picked up the kill. There's going to be Messiah getting caught out, he gets stunned up, Ambition comes in, and Shy picks up the double kill.
Just gifting the kill there to Shy at the end because Ambition had done such a good job chasing Messiah through the jungle. China should not have been waiting at that sliver turret because the flank was there and they are quite far behind.
They are very far behind now in Korea. Not needing the minions here, keeping the pressure straight on that turret, getting some hits in it. Here comes the conga line of minions and his PDD. He's charging up, he's thinking of going for this one. Elastic slingshot bounces in there, but straight into the play of Madlife, and that forces him back. Now Madlife puts the hook down. PDD is going to get dropped. He gets the passive straight away. Can they clear out the passive, or will China be able to defend it? They will, but you can see Ambition, he wants it. He's going to throw the wild card through. Not going to be enough. Paranoia comes out from Troll. He's going to chase in there. He will get the fear leash. Ace in the hole lands out from Wei Zhao. Is it enough? Stun card comes in. That's going to be a shot blast from range, and Ambition walks away for the safety.
Woo. So he got a little bit greedy trying to finish off all the bloblets, and Troll tried to punish him for it. But in the end, that cost China again more than it costed Korea, and they continue to press this lead.
Big difference. Where is Messiah going? He's going to the top for Troll. Ambition, sorry, hadn't finished him off there. I'm so used to seeing Twisted Fate Messiah, I just got completely excited. But it is Insec, he's looking for the kill here. He's sniffing around, lands it on Wei Zhao, forces him away. He could take his pick here, but then again, China could turn around on him.
I feel like that Twisted Fate ultimate served a dual purpose because it seems rather foolish to try to use that TF ult just to kill Troll since you can spell shield your gold card. But he was also giving Insect vision to maybe try to pick up another kill. Because China was safely enough away and in their turrets, it didn't happen, but it was that dual purpose Twisted Fate ult.
Look at the pressure that Insect is keeping on Messiah here. Keeps coming in, poking around that. It's going to be Messiah that goes in, goes aggressive, but they're still keeping on that blue buff, and he's just going to safeguard straight away to Madlife. Doesn't he need the Dark Passage?
That was rude.
That was rude.
There was nothing that Messiah could do to actually get that blue buff. Complete safety by Insec and Madlife. Really just toying with Messiah on that blue.
They are having fun, it seems, here. The Korean LCL team. Messiah clears out the wave. Let's have a look across these minion waves and the items. And that lead that's building up between Wei Zhao and Prey is pretty huge. It's just shy of 50 minions, or just over 50 minions. But more importantly, as you pointed out, Ambition versus Messiah. That swings completely the opposite direction. In gold terms, it is nearly 4,000 now.
And it's 4,000 for the mid laners, but it's still even for Prey and Wei Zhao, which is why they're completely okay having the Tristana here as really safety. Because they've won the early game and mid game thanks to the Lee Sin and the Twisted Fate. And if it gets to late game, then Prey's going to be able to take off because he's sticking solid with Wei Zhao despite getting punished early game.
Well, and of course, you've got to take into account, obviously, the Twisted Fate passive that it gives you. So you're going to be gaining gold everything you do, every little bit of time. 21 minutes into the game, it's got to be around about 1,000 plus already just from that passive.
Yeah, I mean, quick math, that's about close to 600 minion kills, so an easy 1,200 gold just taken because of Twisted Fate. One of the underestimated facts of Twisted Fate sometimes, not only does he get global presence, he just gives people money.
He gives everybody the money. It's a personal piggy bank right there. But as it is, Shy is going up the top. He's completely dominating that lane. He was putting the pressure all over PDD, and PDD is simply being reactive the whole time. He's not been the monster that we've seen throughout this tournament so far. It looks like his last exchange clock will get charged up. If only I could say the word, and he does manage to clear out the way. But, well, they may be in trouble here.
And the even more dangerous thing is Shy is pretty much at a perfect point for his item build. Merman Transform with the Brutalizer and the Last Whisper. Well stacking armor penetration, and Korea has no qualms about turret dodging and finishing games early.
Ooh, Xiao Zhao taking a big hit from the shot blast. You see Insect landing that Q once again on PDD, and I think it's safe to say the best Lee player in the world right now, as has been proven between the two. Wei Zhao there, just getting taken low, and again the Q lands. It's Wei Zhao, he wants to get it on though. You can see the pressure continuing to be put down by Shai, and the Korean team setting up for this one. Messiah and Ambition in the mid lane, they keep holding off that lane against each other.
And Korea's really just trying to find a window here. They have the jungle in between the two lanes completely littered with wards, thanks to Insect Sightstone and Mad Life's Ruby Sightstone. When they find a window, they might go, or they're just keeping LPL scared and making sure they can't get snuck up on.
Kept the pressure down. Insect does manage to finally get in there, looking to get on Wei Zhao, and look at that. Ambition kept the pressure on, continuing. They do manage to go in towards Messiah there as well, putting the damage down, but that's another 2 turrets picked up, and the gold lead now is 9,000.
5 turrets to 1 as well. This is actually the turret number that happened in the North American game when I was sitting up with Joe on the couch and we said, yeah, this game is probably over at this point because it's so hard to come back from this 10,000 gold lead this early on in the game. Korea's just going to continue to let it grow, and as long as they don't make a mistake, I think they have this one.
I do think they have it. We do see Prey heading down the bottom. He's going to keep that giant wave pushing along the bottom. The bottom inner turret is the only one standing now. So that almost certainly will be Korea's next target, but they are starting to go back and build some more items. We do see the Rabadon's Death Cap, Abyssal Scepter on Ambition already. In comparison, Messiah, well, look at it. He's only got that Abyssal Scepter and Sorcerer's Boots, and he is missing a complete item, and that is the big difference in the goal.
And it's not like he's missing a little tiny item. He's missing a Rabadon's Death Cap, the second, I think the second most expensive ability power item in the game. That's actually wrong, but it's a very expensive ability power item. It's super expensive is the big thing to note here. Not a good sign. We've seen so many different Twisted Fate builds coming out. We've seen Lichbane rushes, we've seen just Zhonya's Hourglass rushes, but because he was laning against a Diana, Abyssal Scepter to make sure he didn't get spiked out, and because they're so far ahead, he decided to go for that Death Cap so he can just destroy someone in the combo.
And in terms of the supports as well, we're also seeing a bit of a difference. They've both got the Ruby Soul Stone, but you can see the Philo Stones, but there is a boots of mobility compared to no boots at all.
And I think a lot of that also just has to do with the general gold advantage. Lulu would love to have boots of mobility, so she could run in and just snare people with Glitter Lance, but there's no luxury, and the Ruby Sightstone is much more of a necessity than boots of mobility.
And then in terms of junglers, you can see it's actually more of a support from Insect. He's going for that Runic Bulwark, and he's going to have the Runic Bulwark very soon, of course. Also went for that Sightstone, a pretty expensive item in itself.
And we knew coming into this that someone on the Korean team was going to have to make sacrifices as far as to make this team work, and so far it's been Insect.
Oh my god, Shai from range just pokes down and drops where Xiao Zhao where he stands, and that is the third inner turret now down.
And some of that has to do with the sacrifice that Insect has put in. As he goes in, might try to start this fight. He's just having fun with his jungle gym right now.
You can see, just safeguards. He's got that dark passage. He's like, I'm just going to bounce around the map and keep the cameraman on his toes. The pressure now being put on towards this inhibitor turret.
And it's because of the 74 minion kills on Insect that those Shock Blasts are killing, and that Ambition has so many minion kills. Insect is a support role right now. He is an initiator who will go in, kick someone back, and that is his job. They have enough late game awesomeness on their team that they don't need him to scale up. So all he's doing is building tank utility and making fights happen.
And because of the difference between the two AP players, the mid laners Ambition and Messiah, we're seeing Ambition continuing to keep split pushing, keep that pressure on the mid line, and simply put, Messiah can't beat pound for pound right now.
They can't fight any of them pound for pound, which is why we're actually seeing this kind of triple push, because they know Korea does wherever they go. No one on China is going to be able to duel them. China will have to force a fight at some point. Maybe it'll be now.
Well, PDD goes in and takes a chunk of damage. It's not quite all the abilities they were hoping for. Paranoia does get used, but he is going to be suicidal if he goes in on that one and chooses wisely to back away. But nevertheless, that's an ulti burn.
And it's a... Okay, just the one ulti burn, as well as the size will be on cooldown. And I have to give credit where it's due to Mad Life here. Every time Diana is ulting in, he is starting a play, and it's actually preventing the damage from applying on that Diana ult because she never connects with her target.
And there's going to be the middle turret going down. Is PDD they're going to target on? They throw out the wildcards and the stuns. Messiah goes in on Insect, forces him away. But Wei Zhao and Xiao Zhao had already backed away from that turret. They may well get a second inhibitor turret from this one. They choose to back away. They haven't taken the inhibitor down, but it doesn't matter. Two completely exposed inhibitor, that is disastrous for China.
They need to do something really drastic and very quickly. I'd have to say every play that China will make for the rest of this game is going to be low percentage. So they're hoping right now that Korea tries to go for Baron or that they backed in different situations from each other. Insec is a little greedy sticking around. This might be LPL's small chance.
Well, we see Troll going in, but he immediately gets ulti kicked straight away, and Wei Xiao and Zhao Zhao, they can't chase this one up. Only single boots for Zhao Zhao. He's not going to be able to chase it down, but Mad Life is there. He thought about maybe closing the gap. He had that Oracle ready. He wanted to clear out the wards, but Insec kind of led the Chinese team straight to it.
Yeah, Insec had so many free ways of getting back in that one, and that's one of the reasons I think China didn't overchase. He still actually had 2 charges on his Sight Stone, so we could have war jumped if things actually would have went badly. So total safety, even though it looked a little greedy.
Looked a little greedy, but look at the damage items, the difference. Shy compared to PDD. PDD has had to go complete tank. He had that Sunfire Gate built a while ago, but really is struggling to build anything else because all of China are having to clump up as a unit to defend. And Shy, meanwhile, well, he's a farming machine right now. Black Cleaver, Last Whisper, and the Muraman have completed. Well, it's not even a close fight.
Scary. It's just a little bit scary. Prey is also starting to reach that late game Tristana, so the insurance is paying out, even though they didn't need it. So they're just rolling in money right now.
Absolutely rolling in it. Wei Xiao being a long way up lane here, to be fair, with that many exposed items. He really hasn't got a great ward coverage in that jungle either, but the rest of the Chinese team were lingering around there, sort of all as a complete protective unit.
And Korea is continuing the triple push. They're not trying to do a Baron because they realize that might be a situation where they lose the game. They'd rather skirmish around the 3 inhibitors, whittle them down, get the inhibitors down, and just win the slow and steady way.
And they've got a creep wave coming in. Remember, it's just about 2 shots left on that turret.
They might fight here.
In 1. It is going to be 1 shot. Prey makes just 1 more. We'll finish it off. There it goes, the turret. 2 down, and there's going to be the shock blast once again on Wei Xiao, and it is doing chunks of damage to it.
And they're showing Korea is a surprising amount of restraint because they might have twisted fate off in LPL trying to make a play.
They're diving on towards Ambition. The Paranoid comes out. They do manage to get on towards him, as does Messiah. There's going to be the wild growth, but it is simply put not enough. And Korea, as a full-strength unit, now move in. There's going to be Messiah surely getting dropped down. He'll go down. PDD, he's bouncing around the team, but the rest of them have had to back off. The passive comes out. That is going to be PDD over and done with, and that may well be close to the game for Korea.
Another last-ditch effort by China. You cannot fault them for going in on that, but they lose their 2 biggest damage dealers. Wei Xiao, the only person who does damage to escape this. All 5 are up for Korea. They may try to push this one through without super minions.
Oh, we see that's going to be the second inhibitor down. Looks like they may back away from this one. Korea playing it safe, and why not? The game is in the palm of their hands. They have no reason to risk it and go for the game.
And especially with the Oracles on Mad Life, while running this way back through the Baron Pit, they can not only check to see if they got seen running towards the Baron Pit, they can check in the Baron Pit, which is what they're going to see right now. They realize LPL doesn't have the capacity of stopping this one, as Troll has no ultimate up.
Well, I believe it was called the freight train move there, as all 4 members go over the wall and take the Baron.
I never understood why a freight train jumps over walls.
I don't know what walls a freight train can jump over. Maybe it should be called something different.
Maybe.
But it worked anyway, nevertheless, and it is Korea that are stomping their way through this one. It is 8,000 gold lead, and more importantly, it's 8-1 in turrets and 2 inhibitors currently down. So what do China have to do to turn it around in the next match?
China's got to do a lot of thinking, and I think one of the big things is find a way to punish more early. Since they picked a very early game composition, then lost it, Insects had a huge amount of pressure, I think. North America may have had it figured when they were banning out Lee Sin. There's so much to try to take out against these teams, but Insects Lee Sin, I feel, was the MVP for the Korean team in their first round, and it may even be into this game, even though he's only on 77 mini.
Ooh, Insect trying to get on towards Wei Xiao, and the shock blast catches on. It takes him down to half health. And as you mentioned, you know, the fact that the turret went down first, it was Korea that actually used effectively a Chinese tactic. Oh my God, Insect is going deep on this one. It's going to be, well, Ambition will join him. No, it doesn't matter because the surrender has come out. And wow, would you believe it? A strong, dominant performance from Korea in Game 1 there. They just looked unstoppable.
And it looked like Insect had lost his mind a little bit there at the end, and I was actually ready to go with it. It's like, he saw a window, he's going, oh wait, there was a surrender. Well, okay, that makes sense.
I mean, who are we to question him? He's just absolutely dominant on Lee Sin there. Maybe that's one of the bans that may well have to come out there.
I really think you got to take away that Lee Sin. I was not a believer before coming into this. I thought Lee Sin you sit back early, you ward against his ganks, you kind of let the other team have a bit of an edge, and then late game he falls apart. But the way the Korean team is running this, with Insect still having a monstrous impact in team fights because of his ability to do the incredibly complex ward jump kickback, and then just being content building utility items with the rest of the Korean team building really good late game champions, I feel like the Lee Sin is the key to that strategy, and they need to batter that.
We'll see what they do. Of course, it seems that the Chinese team, they looked a little down there, as you would expect, but I would hope the fact that they have gone with that surrender, they spent that time to talk about what do we do next.
And that's something that every team should do in these tournaments when they are down almost insurmountably in a game. If you surrender right away, the game is just over and you don't have much time in between matches. But they may have been talking for quite a while. They figured out their plan. They said, all right, let's get back in the last game before we get demoralized. Surrender, go into the next one.
Well, we'll see whether they do. Of course, we are going to send it over to Riv and Freak for a breakdown of one of the biggest plays of the game.
Thank you very much, D-Man. Chilling out here with Freak. We're going to do a few replays for you, and really the momentum of the Korean team coming from Game 1 against, or the Series 1, I should say, against North America 2-0 here, looking for another 2-0, carrying that momentum. Insect carrying with Lee, and I think the replay here, we talked about it in the first game, it's Korea being in the right spot at the right time, all the time.
Yeah, this is actually a really, really beautiful counter gank coming in from Insect. Let's actually roll the clip out because you can see that Insect is actually waiting in the brush to counter gank when Troll comes in, and he just turns it around, and Ambition makes his way up to also counter gank. Now Shy does amazing duck dodging and diving to get out of this one overall, but this kind of just tells the story of how good the Korean team was in this entire match. They found every counter gank. Prey gets caught, okay, that was a little silly, but for the rest of the time, I mean, even Mad Life had come up through the tri-brush at that point. They all collapsed in for kills. Insect was ready to counter gank. It was a really, really just beautiful set of game from them. They were always in the right place.
Freak, how do you plan a second game strategy with two of the most impactful champions on two of the most impactful and all-star players, an Insect on Diamond, Insect on Lee Sin, and Mad Life on Thresh? They let through that time. They can't let it happen again.
It's really interesting because it depends on how you want to play the game, all right? If you say, no, Xiao Xiao is a better support than Mad Life, and a lot of people would say that's probably not the case, or, you know, look, if our jungler can out-jungle your jungler, right? You don't have to always pay respect to the enemy team. You say, look, pick what you want, we'll pick our stuff, and we'll just win. The thing is, that's kind of what the Chinese team has done the entire time, is say, or the Korean team, I should say, has done the entire time. They say, look, we know what we're going to play, and it's going to work better. And, I mean, we've seen time and again, the other team will try to ban someone out, and it almost never actually works. It doesn't actually do anything. Right. Insect's Lee Sin got banned in the match against North America, and it didn't matter. He was great on Zac. And you've got to be able to say, look, what are we actually going to do for ourselves? Because they got to stop trying to ban out everything.
Absolutely. And coming into that first series, like I said, Game 1 was a surrender into Game 2. They've managed to do it again, now versus the Chinese LPL squad in their series for the final matchup. So coming up is the second round in this fight between Korean LCL squad and the Chinese LPL All-Stars. And with one more win, Korea will take home the title and earn an extra slot for the LCL in the World Playoffs. The 2013 League of Legends All-Star Weekend. We'll be right back. Stick around.